My name is Brent Watkins. I'm the Vice President of Program Operations here at Rustic Pathways. It's my job to ensure we design programs that are not only transformational educational experiences for students, but also safe for all the students traveling under our care. Achieving this means having strong policies in place to ensure the well-being of the students traveling with us, as well as comprehensive training to ensure you, as a program leader, understand the role that you play in safeguarding the well-being of our students. As part of this training, you'll review our Program Leader Code of Conduct. This policy outlines many of the ways we expect you to operate as a program leader while working with Rustic Pathways. Since Rustic Pathways operates programs with minor students, I want to spend a few minutes highlighting parts of our policies that relate to your responsibility for ensuring students have a safe and positive experience on their program. As a program leader, you hold a position of authority and trust with the students traveling with you. This creates a unique power dynamic between you and the students you'll care for on your programs. In some cases, there might only be a minimal age difference between our youngest program leaders and our oldest students. This might lead you to be more comfortable with a less than formal relationship with your students. Despite this, the authority that you hold as a program leader and the fact that many of your students are traveling in new, unknown places outside of their normal comfort zone creates a power dynamic that you must care for with the utmost professionalism. The majority of students that travel with Rustic Pathways are considered minors. Even when students are not minors, there's still a substantial power dynamic between students and you as a program leader. Because of this, Rustic Pathways' position is that there's never a situation where an intimate relationship or a relationship of sexual nature between a student and a staff is considered consensual. There are absolutely no exceptions to this policy, even under the most unique circumstances, and even where local culture or local customs may permit such a relationship. For example, if you're operating in a local community where relationships with underage minors is permissible or generally accepted, this action is still not acceptable or permissible in your role as a program leader. We consider an inappropriate relationship as one that involves sexual relations, sexual intimacy, verbal intimacy, flirting, favoritism, or unprofessional communication with students. We also take no special consideration for what you intended by your actions. What matters is how a student perceives your actions and what that leads them to believe is true. We believe it's your burden as a program leader to ensure your actions are not misinterpreted by students. As a program leader, you're agreeing to the Program Leader Code of Conduct, which includes the parameters governing your relationship with students under our care. Furthermore, in many localities, an inappropriate relationship with a minor is considered a criminal offense. Rustic Pathways always cooperates fully with any and all criminal prosecution against staff, former staff, or vendors accused of an inappropriate relationship with students. Our policies regarding appropriate engagement with students extend to all vendors. If you see a vendor engaging in an inappropriate behavior with a student, you should ensure the student is safe and secure and then immediately report your concerns to your direct manager. If you believe your manager's response is insufficient or not treated with the required urgency, you should escalate your concern or report the incident to Rustic Pathways 24/7 Anonymous Ethics Hotline. We'll provide further training on using the ethics hotline later, and the contact information can always be found in your Program Leader Guidebook. In addition to always monitoring your own actions, it's your responsibility as a program leader to immediately speak up if you see other program leaders, vendors, or any third party acting in an inappropriate way with students. If you notice an alarming trend and you fail to act, you're complicit in any harm that comes to a student as a result of your failure to notify. Our policies regarding appropriate behavior towards students extend to social media use. Your engagement with students on social media should never be private, should always be publicly viewable by anyone, and should always be professional and appropriate. Actions on social media can often be misinterpreted as they lack context that you usually gather through in-person interactions. For example, perhaps you comment on the appearance of a student's photo on social media, only meaning it as a compliment, but the student interprets your comment as flirting. Like our policy on in-person interactions with students, we place the burden on you as the program leader to ensure your social media engagement is not misinterpreted by students. Two other important points regarding the Program Leader Code of Conduct. Your relationship with other staff should always be professional and respectful. Any romantic relationship between you and another staff member should always be consensual and never interfere with the delivery of a program. We do not permit program leaders who are in a romantic relationship with one another to lead programs together. If you develop a romantic relationship with your co-leader, you should immediately inform your manager. In this case, Rustic Pathways will work to ensure you are not staffed on future programs together. This policy is purely meant to ensure program leaders focus 100% of their attention on the students under their care. Failing to disclose a relationship is grounds for disciplinary action up to and including termination. As a final note, I just want to remind you that any physical contact between staff and students that would be generally considered unprofessional, unwelcome, or inappropriate should raise alarms. Regardless of your intentions, physical contact can often be interpreted differently due to different levels of comfort with personal contact or cultural considerations. But not all physical contact is inappropriate with students. It's simply important to consider if the contact is culturally appropriate and generally welcome and acceptable to the student. For example, shaking someone's hand upon arrival in country for the first time is a completely appropriate form of physical contact. Now I'd like to show you a few role plays of situations that might come up on a program and demonstrate the appropriate way to handle them as a program leader. Often inappropriate behavior with students starts as small actions that aren't redirected soon enough. In this first role play, I'd like to demonstrate how you should redirect a student if you feel their engagement with you is inappropriate or unprofessional, or you notice a pattern that's concerning.
Kevin!
Hey, Erin.
Hey!
How are you?
Oh, I'm so glad you're my program leader
Yeah.
this
That's awesome.
summer.
That's awesome. Have you met the rest of the group yet?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Okay.
So not every example of physical contact between a student and a program leader is necessarily inappropriate. For example, a brief hug when you first meet a student might be culturally appropriate and completely fine for interaction with a student. But in this case, it was clear that Kevin, as the program leader, was extremely uncomfortable with the type of touch that he received from Erin as the student. So I want to highlight a couple of things that Kevin did really well as a program leader. First, he was really good to physically redirect the student to stop the interaction that made him feel uncomfortable as a program leader. He also verbally redirected the student. So in this case, his intention was to simply stop the behavior that made him uncomfortable, and he did a really good job of that. Sometimes this plays out with just one instance, perhaps a student arriving in country for the first time, excited to see their program leader again. Sometimes, though, this behavior continues to play out over the course of the program. And you as a program leader may determine that a pattern of inappropriate behavior exists. In this case, you'll want to go beyond simply redirecting the student's behavior to calling out the specific pattern of behavior that you'd like to stop. So in the next part of our role play, Kevin, as the program leader, is going to demonstrate a one-on-one conversation with Erin as the student, where he is going to seek to establish the pattern of behavior that's inappropriate and explain why that behavior can't continue anymore. In some cases, you may want to do this conversation in a one-on-one engagement. Just remember, any one-on-one conversation with a student should never be private. That is, never behind a closed door between you as the program leader and the student. Do it in a public place, out of earshot of other folks. Additionally, if you feel uncomfortable leading this conversation personally, you can ask your co-leader to join in on the conversation.
Hey, Erin, do you mind if I talk to you for a minute?
Sure, what's up?
Hey, I just wanted to bring it to your attention. There's been a couple times the last few days where you've jumped up and given me a big hug or given me a hug from behind or something. And I just wanted to make you aware that, I do have to maintain some level of professional distance when I'm leading a program. It is my workplace. And while, it's great to have a familiar face on a program, I do have to stay in that role. And I also want to be making sure that I'm fostering a really inclusive kind of relationship with the entire program and kind of fostering that healthy group dynamic.
Ugh, I'm really sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I actually think that you'll be a great addition and support to helping us as a team of co-leaders try to have a more inclusive dynamic, just because you already understand sort of what a Rustic Pathways program looks like.
All right.
Thanks so much.
So in this second half of the role play, Kevin's objective as a program leader was to point out the pattern of behavior that he saw in the student that he was uncomfortable with, ensure the student knew that it was a pattern, and correct the behavior. In this role play, Kevin certainly did that. He indicated that the concern was the student's persistent hugging of him, and indicated that as a professional, he needed that behavior to end. In addition, Kevin did an excellent job ensuring that the student felt comfortable in that conversation and making the broader point that it was also his responsibility of creating an inclusive environment for all students, and that behavior was contrary to that spirit of creating an inclusive environment. Part of your responsibility as a program leader is to speak up when you see actions happening by other program leaders, by vendors, or by a third party that lead you to believe that inappropriate relationships with students may be developing. In this second scenario, I'd like to show you how you can speak to a co-leader if you think that actions of the co-leader or actions of the student with the co-leader might be leading in an unhealthy or inappropriate direction.
Hey, Kev, can I grab a few minutes with you?
Yeah, what's going on?
I just wanted to talk to you about the behavior that I've seen with Jane. It's been pretty consistent. She's spending a lot of time with you. I think she might have a crush on you. So I wanted to bring it up and talk about it with you. And
Yeah, she's pulled me aside a few times, and she sat next to me at lunch and then again on the bus this afternoon, and she keeps talking to me. I didn't really know how to react. Do you have any sort of suggestions? Or
Well, when we split them into groups, let's make sure that she's on my team or in my bus for sure. We can do kind of like the 1-2 and make it look random, but like always put her group
check
with mine.
birthdays or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then I guess it's happening a little more than I realized. So like, do you think we should talk to her about it?
At this point, we probably should, just to sort of cut it off now before it becomes a bigger deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that sounds good.
Cool. Thanks for bringing it up.
For sure.
So in this role play, Emily is the program leader. Her objective was to ensure that Kevin was aware of how a student or other people in the group might have perceived his actions. And in this case, it was clear that Kevin, as the co-leader, sort of understood that something strange was going on, but wasn't fully aware of the extent of how his actions were being perceived. So in this role play, Emily certainly achieved her objective of bringing that awareness. Another good thing to point out that she did, though, was she used this conversation as an opportunity to build a game plan for how to address the behavior going forward. It's likely that this role play would have played out and the problem would have ended. Kevin would have been aware of his actions and it wouldn't have continued in the future. The game plan was probably successful. If, however, Emily, as the program leader, had this conversation and Kevin's behavior had persisted, or he just didn't implement any of the things they agreed to in the conversation, and you were concerned about what that meant, that is always an appropriate time to escalate that conversation to your direct manager. On occasion, you may be on a program that interacts with multiple third-party vendors. Just like our policy with interactions between students and our Rustic Pathways program staff, that policy extends to the interaction between vendors and Rustic Pathways students. In this third role play, I'd like to show you how to respond if a student shares with you concerns around their interactions with a third-party vendor. In this scenario, Emily's playing the role of a student, and Dave is playing the role of a mountain bike vendor.
You did so good today. I was so proud. You were scared in the beginning, but do you see how you overcame your fears? That was so awesome.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
good. Yeah, of course.
Hey, Dave.
Oh, hey.
Do you mind going over and checking on those students over there? It looks like someone's having a problem with their bike.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, are you alright? Dave looked like he was getting a little too close. And you looked a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I just felt like he was being really touchy like all day, and like, I don't know, I don't want to bike anymore. I just want to go home.
It was completely inappropriate. I'm so sorry that happened. You know, usually this vendor's great, but yeah, that we'll definitely stop this activity and we'll figure out, you know, an alternative for the afternoon.
I mean, like, is he supposed to act like that?
No, absolutely not. It's totally inappropriate, and I'm so sorry. Like, was he just? I saw from over there he was just getting a little too close, but was he also touching you inappropriately?
Yeah, he was like touching my hips and like trying to help me on the bike.
I'm so
I don't
sorry
really
that this
like
happened.
that.
Yeah, completely unacceptable. I'm really, really sorry. Why don't we'll go grab Lisa and we'll try to create a game plan for the afternoon that doesn't involve being around Dave any longer. And I'll be talking to the vendors, certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
So this is a perfect example of your responsibility for ensuring that in addition to managing your own interactions with students and the interactions of your co-leaders with students, you're also paying very close attention to ensure that the interactions of all third parties who interact with a program and vendors who provide services for a program are engaging in appropriate interactions with our students. I want to point out a couple of great things that Kevin did in his response to this scenario. First and foremost, Kevin immediately intervened to stop the behavior that was making Emily, the student, feel uncomfortable. He clearly noticed that Emily wasn't feeling comfortable in the situation, and he immediately intervened to first physically redirect Dave away from Emily, and then also verbally redirect Dave away from Emily, so that he could create a safe space where he could explore and understand what was happening in that interaction. The second thing Kevin did exceptionally well in this role play was he took the time to understand how Emily was feeling and assure her that the problem was going to be resolved and that she was safe, and then immediately directed her away from the situation. It's critically important that as a program leader, your eyes are always open and watching all the folks who are engaging with our students in any capacity. And anytime any red flags come up about potential interactions with our students that don't feel right, that don't feel safe, or that are alarming our students, you immediately act to intervene and stop that behavior.